Now let's go ahead and talk about associated values in enums. Now we did talk about when we were creating an enum, let's say compass, and it can have different options like north and south and all that stuff. But sometimes we want some additional data like north, like maybe we want to walk north like 5 or 10 miles, like over here. We want to walk a couple of miles. So how can we create those values? And those values are actually called associated values. So let's go ahead and see that how we can utilize enums with associated values. We're going to go ahead and create a enum called request. This will be like an HTTP request, which can be get, post, put, delete, and all that stuff. And we can provide a get. But we also need to provide the URL where you're making the request. So that can be the associated value. So we can simply say over here, string, you're going to pass in, that will be the URL. Okay? And we're going to use the same thing. We can use post. In the post, we will have a string over here because the first argument is the URL, but the second argument can be some sort of a parameters. Maybe you're trying to pass in an array. So we can have like this. Now, how do we use this request? If we have created this request, how do we end up using this? So let's say that we have a function called makeRequest, and that particular function is a request. Now, since this is actually a request, which is an enum, you can always perform a switch on the enum. And now we can handle the actual URL. And you can do whatever you want with the URL. Same thing over here with the post. Since we have defined that the post will have two different parameters, the string and the dictionary, so that is exactly what we're getting. We'll take URL and we'll call it parameters. Now I can go ahead and print them out. I can say print, and I can say print the parameters. Or, I can do whatever I want over here, make an actual request, obviously. So this is a very important feature of Swift language, that it allows you to use associated values. You have already seen associated values before. Remember the result? This is actually using associated value, which is also generic type. So if we look over here, you can see that it takes in two types, a success and failure, but it is not like a particular string type, it's just a generic type. So we can also create, let's see that if we can create enum called result, or will it actually complain? So we can create a result called enum, which takes in a type. And on the success, we can use that particular type. And on the failure, we can use the failure type, which again, we don't really have the failure type, right? So we will have to be passing something over here if we are calling it error or failure or something. So if I run this right now, it is going to be okay because we are saying the error type. If I say failure over here, right, and if I try to run it, then it's going to be like, okay, what is failure? But error is an actual type, so I can actually pass error, and that's perfectly fine. So that is the result type that now you can use. So in the same way as we were doing something, let's say fetch data in a completion, and we can use the result type, and we can pass in whatever the type of data that we are going to be getting back, let's say string, and we can say, well, that's pretty much it. We don't even have to pass in the error because our result type doesn't really care that much about the error. Okay. All right, let's see what's going on over here. I think we can fix it. There we go. We're just missing some parentheses and that's it. So these are the associated values. Sometimes your enum will require some additional data, and that additional data is called the associated value of an enum.